Does anyone remember the time when Mike embarrassed themselves on YouTube of a man-spreading experiment on the subway?
Today, we are going to take up a lot of space on the subway.
This is just the tip of their iceberg. Mike is actually going on its own offensive here, trying to become the new Vox or Guardian. We all know the usual saying, you're racist because of that, you're sexist because of this, you're even something called ableist. If you refuse to date a person in a wheelchair, you're just that.
Dr. Phil opens the episode by giving the results of a poll that he took. So he surveyed his studio audience about whether they would, was it on Tinder, swipe right?
Yeah.
It was about Tinder, but it was like, would you swipe right on someone in a wheelchair? So basically, like, would you, like, go on a date with someone in a wheelchair? And 58% of the audience said yes.
Which is fine.
Well, it should be 100 because a wheelchair doesn't say anything about the person themselves, but... Then he asked them, would you date a person in a wheelchair if you found out they needed care, like caregiving? And it dropped to like 25%.
That's real low.
Yeah, so he asked his audience those two questions to open the show. So if that doesn't tell you how much he was focused on the disability and how negative it is, like he polled his audience to be like, would you date someone who needs care?
And everyone was like, no.
No. So thanks to those 25% of people that had their minds open. And to the rest of you, I hope you watch a couple episodes of our vlog.
But there's one kind of ableism that hasn't gained as much attention yet as its wheelchair counterparts. This is what Mike has gone on the offensive for, with their desire to bring justice. It has even been put into its own noun. It is the R word. Let's see what the R word is.
My name is Madison Tevlin. I'm 14 years old, I have Down syndrome, and it's the least interesting thing about me. I am a performer, but when I put myself out there, you would be amazed at what people will say. She looks retarded. She sings like a dying whale. You shouldn't pretend retards are good at things just because they are retarded. You might think there's a good way to say it, but there isn't. Words matter, and there's no good way to say retarded.
Exactly. We're living in a world where people claim that sticks and stones may break their bones, but names will never hurt them, and yet they will cry out about how a word made them uncomfortable and demand you be arrested for that. Mike is really going to become the next AJ Plus or Vox or Guardian or now this very soon. But I'll let you people be the judge.
We need to talk about the R word. When people use the R word, it's usually not to describe someone who has a disability. It's used to describe someone who's inadequate.
Your daughter Chloe is retarded at directions.
Something that doesn't function correctly.
I think that transformer's retarded.
Something that's crazy.
My flow retarded, HB did departed.
Or something that kids, just say.
Please don't go after Iggy Azalea. I know she's controversial, but I'd still titty fuck her.
It's really common with our kids and stuff. It's just like when they throw out the word, oh, that's so gay.
We hear this line of thinking all the time. But how does it hold up when presented to people who are actually affected by disabilities?
And this is where the fun begins.
This is Paul. Paul is a young man from Brooklyn who has Down syndrome. And this is Paul's mom, Margaret. So you're obviously very sensitive about people using the R word because your son has Down syndrome. But you know that when people are using the R word, they're not talking about your son directly.
Well, no, they're not talking about my son directly, but when they use the R word, it's in a very negative way. It's used to make fun of people, to ridicule, so it's hurtful.
But
oh, for sake, words such as moron, idiot, imbecile were once clinically used terms to define crippled people. Are those words hurtful too? The word retarded is used to hint at some kind of unfortunate characteristic. Of course, it's going to be used as an insult. No one is attacking your son directly. They're only using the word as an epithet. Four Eyes here just answered your question. Are all negative characteristics going to be banned? Hey man, go away, you smell. What? What? Are you using my characteristics in a negative way? You're a smellist. Hashtag stop smellism. It would be incredibly stupid if that were the case.
It's just like a harmless saying. It's like, that's so gay.
But it's not a harmless thing. I mean, my son is Down syndrome and he's gay. Both those things would be hurtful and disrespectful.
Just when I thought this couldn't get any worse.
To him.
Paul's family has made an effort not to label their son. As a result, he's been able to identify himself on his own terms. So, how's it going?
I'm fabulous, you?
I'm good. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am homosexual.
Yeah, why do you need to repeat that? We just heard it literally 17 seconds ago.
And I feel fabulous about it.
Paul has been able to live a rich life full of music.
One of my favorite hobbies is karaoke.
Crushes.
One of my favorite actors is Darren Criss. I have a crush on him.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Dreams.
I want to be a pop culture TV star.
Are you born to be a star?
Always.
You've kind of accomplished that already, only Mike isn't the best sponsor to go by.
And thanks to the support of his family, he doesn't let his disability define him.
My son was encouraged to do whatever he could do. He's very passionate about life and about what he wants to do with his life, and he goes about doing it.
I'm a Brooklyn diva.
Well, that's lovely. No one is discouraging him there. Only saying that the word retard does not attack his ambitions in any way.
If you want to come out and express yourself, it's okay to be different.
Did you always find it easy to be different, or sometimes it was hard?
It's not that hard, just it felt great. I feel powerful.
Clearly, Paul is anything but inadequate or crazy or any of the other negative things we associate with the R word. And yet, when we use the word as an insult, it's hard to claim we're not referencing people like him.
May I remind you that retardation is a pretty broad subject and that one specific word is completely referencing only him just isn't true.
Intellectual disabilities are still the #1 thing associated with the R word. And if you spend time with any of the 6.5 million people living with intellectual disabilities or their families, it's clear that they're not comfortable with how casually the word is used in our culture.
Why are you constantly using a word like the R word as an insult?
The R word is a hateful word.
It made me feel like I wasn't compatible to what other people could do. And I never want to hear of that word again.
No, it's not. Has anyone attacked you directly when using it in an aggravating way to someone else? They're only using the word because of its underviewed characteristics to portray someone in that negative way. They're not confronting you personally.
That's my concern with, use of the R word. People with developmental disabilities have feelings. They can be hurt. And you need to just maybe get to know them. Go out and learn for yourself.
So when is it okay to use the R word? If you stop and think about the implications of the word and what it means and who it reaches, it becomes easy to answer that question for yourself. Never.
You're freaking retarded!
There, I just said it. So now that we've discovered that we're all ableist, are we going to ban any word that's connected to lactose intolerant? Or are we going to ban any word that's connected to deafness? When Squidward said to SpongeBob, was he being blindest? I wonder how else we're being ableist. Maybe our own existence is the embodiment of evil. Well, I just added some dark poetry to the channel.